Devin Haney doesn't just box, he calculates. A prodigy turned precision machine, he's the architect of domination in the ring, dissecting opponents with surgical jabs and defensive mastery that turns chaos into chess. No brawling, no wasted motion, just icy control. His record? Pristine. His style? Mayweather's IQ with a bite of his own. The Dream isn't just a nickname, it's a blueprint. But when the gloves come off, the empire only gets louder. A garage lined with roaring machines, Lumbos, Ferraris, Rolls Royces. A mansion that rivals any champions. His lifestyle? Private jets, iced-out chains, custom-tailored suits, and conversations with moguls. Haney isn't just a fighter. He's a future billionaire in motion. He didn't just chase greatness, he scripted it. So, before we dive into the rise, the roar, and the raw energy of Devin Haney, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And hey, if you're looking for a custom website or software solution that hits just as hard, follow the link in the description and let DesiTech Consultancy bring your digital vision to life. This isn't just another boxing story. It's the wild ride of the sport's most unpredictable superstar. And trust us, you won't want to miss the next round. Devin Haney was born on November 17, 1998, a date that marked the quiet arrival of a future world champion, though no one could have guessed the storms he'd walk through or the throne he'd one day claim. His first cries echoed in San Francisco, but it was the raw streets of Oakland where his early life began to take shape. In a world where survival is often the first lesson, Haney found something else: purpose. By the age of 7, his fists were already telling a story, one punch at a time, inside the squared circle. Boxing wasn't just a sport for Devin, it was a calling. Raised by his father, Bill Haney, who would become his lifelong coach and protector, the bond between them was unbreakable. At 14, father and son made a move that would alter the course of their lives. They left behind California and headed to Las Vegas, a city known more for its casinos than its character. But for Devin, it was the perfect proving ground. Las Vegas became the place where talent met tenacity. While other teens lost themselves in distractions, Haney embraced an identity rooted in discipline. He had done the unthinkable. With clinical precision and ice-cold composure, he defeated George Kambosos Jr. to become the youngest undisputed lightweight champion in the four-belt era. It was a crowning moment, one that etched his name among the greats, but he didn't stop to celebrate. The hunger only grew. Next came Vasyl Lomachenko. The boxing world watched as Haney went toe-to-toe with the Ukrainian master technician in a grueling battle. He emerged victorious once again. Then came Regis Prograis, tough, powerful, and confident. But Haney made him look ordinary, winning every single round and claiming the WBC super lightweight title in a masterclass performance. Now, in 2025, with a net worth of $6 million in career earnings touching $36 million, he remains one of boxing's brightest stars. Before the world knew his name, before the belts, the headlines, and the pressure of millions watching, Devin Haney was just a skinny kid in oversized gloves with a dream too big for his frame. But what he lacked in physicality, he made up for in obsession. Every jab, every footstep in the ring, meticulous. This wasn't about being good. It was about being great. And greatness for Haney started early. By the time he was a teenager, Haney had already made noise on the amateur scene. A record of 130 wins and only 8 losses. 7 national titles. He shared rings with future Olympians and champions. Inching closer to a dream he held tighter than most kids held their phones. In 2015, he set his sights on the Olympics. Rio was calling. But then came the gut punch. He was too young. Just 16. No exception. For some, that would be the end. For Haney and his father, Bill, it was simply time to pivot. If the Olympic door was shut, they would build their own path. At 17, too young to get licensed in the U.S., Haney did what most wouldn't dare. He left home to fight grown men in Mexico. In dusty, unforgiving gyms with no glamour, no lights, and no promises, he began carving out his legend. He wasn't padding a record. He was earning scars, both literal and mental. 4 fights, 4 wins, and a masterclass in grit. By the time he turned 18 and got his U.S. license, he wasn't some prospect with hype. He was a storm waiting to be unleashed. And when he did, it was fast. By 2018, he was 19-0. But more than the wins, it was how he won. He didn't rely on brute force or showboating. He dissected his opponents like puzzles, solving them one jab at a time. There was a cold intelligence behind his eyes, a fighter always thinking 3 steps ahead. He wasn't chasing knockouts. He was collecting data, building something that couldn't be undone with a single counterpunch. He was building legacy, brick by brick. But legacy never comes easy. In January 2019, he took on the tricky and resilient Zalesany Donjani and put on a 10-round masterclass. Dominant, unbothered. It wasn't just a win, it was a declaration. Then came May, Antonio Moran, a highlight reel knockout in the 7th round that thundered through the boxing world. It was Haney's matchroom debut under Eddie Hearn, and he made damn sure no one forgot his name. That KO wasn't just viral, it was violent. The kind that made casual fans sit up and ask, "Who is this kid?" For months later, the stakes got higher. Undefeated Zor Abdullaev stood in front of him. Strong, confident, dangerous. Haney broke him down like an engineer dismantling a machine. Round after round, he exposed the flaws until Abdullaev could no longer continue. That victory earned him the interim WBC lightweight title. And then, in a twist of boxing politics, Vasyl Lomachenko was promoted to franchise champion, and Devin Haney, at just 20, became the youngest active world champion in the sport. But greatness never moves in a straight line. In November 2019, under the bright lights of the KSI versus Logan Paul II undercard, Haney defended his new crown against Alfredo Santiago. It was a sharp, calculated performance. He outboxed Santiago over 12 rounds, but at a cost. He tore his shoulder. The surgery that followed kept him out of the ring for nearly a year. And in that time, the whispers grew louder. Was he still the same? Would he lose momentum? When he finally returned in November 2020, it was against former unified champ Yuri Ortiz Gamboa. Haney dominated from start to finish. Critics wanted a knockout. He gave him a clinic. It wasn't flashy, but it was flawless. And in that calm, composed performance, he reminded the world he was still very much in control. Then came Jorge Linares, May 2021, a 3-division champion with speed and power to spare. For 10 rounds, Haney painted a masterpiece. But in the final seconds of the 10th, Linares clipped him. Hard. Haney's legs wobbled, the crowd erupted, and for the first time in his career, he looked human. He held, clinched, survived, and won. But the fans booed. The boxing world questioned. Was he exposed? Had he shown cracks? In December 2021, he returned against Joseph Diaz, a late substitute after Ryan Garcia pulled out. It was a fight loaded with pressure, but Haney didn't flinch. He dismantled Diaz with sharp combinations and unwavering focus. Another unanimous decision. Another step forward. And this time, he wasn't just fighting to defend a belt. He was chasing legacy. In June 2022, that chase took him to Melbourne, Australia. George Kambosos Jr., the man who dethroned Teofimo Lopez, waited for him in enemy territory. The crowd booed. The stakes were enormous. But he didn't hear the noise. He outclassed Kambosos, jabbed him into submission, and walked away with all 4 belts. Undisputed, the king of 135. 3 months later, he did it again. Haney was even more dominant. No debate, no controversy. He had cleaned out the division, except for one name, Vasyl Lomachenko. The fight the world wanted, the old master versus the young king. In May 2023, at the MGM Grand, Haney landed the harder body shots. Loma dazzled with speed. In the 10th and 11th rounds, Loma surged. In the 12th, Haney closed strong. The decision? Haney was still undefeated and undisputed, but the world was divided. Was it fair? Did Loma deserve better? Even the boxing elite questioned it. Shakur Stevenson called it a robbery. Others defended Haney's tactics and control. The controversy swirled, but Haney didn't blink. This was the cost of greatness. criticism, doubt, fire. And he stood tall in the middle of it all. But outside the ring, the storm followed. An old quote from 2020 resurfaced: "I'll never lose to a white boy." A foolish boast, one he'd since apologized for. But the timing couldn't have been worse. The ghosts of boxing's past resurfaced, but he addressed them head-on, publicly and maturely. It was a turning point, not in his career, but in his character. And then, in December 2023, a new mountain, Regis Prograis. Super lightweight, a new division and a new test. A third-round knockdown, a near shutout on the scorecards. Dominance, precision. A two-division champion by age 25, the throne was his. Again, then came the chaos. Garcia missed weight by over 3 pounds, paid a $600,000 fine, and stripped the bout of its title stakes. But once the bell rang, none of it mattered. Garcia dropped Haney 3 times. Haney fought back. He never quit. But the judges gave it to Garcia, a majority decision. His first professional loss. The world shook. But the twist? Weeks later, Garcia tested positive for a banned substance. The fight was ruled a no contest. Garcia was suspended and fined $1.1 million. And Haney, bruised, battered, but unbeaten, walked away still undefeated. Still, something inside had shifted. In June 2024, he requested champion in recess status. Not because he was running, but because he was recalibrating, thinking, plotting his next move. And in May 2025, in Times Square, New York, the storm returned. He faced Jose Ramirez and gave the city a masterclass. 12 rounds. Complete control. The doubters fell silent. Now, as the lights dim and the echoes of the last bell fade, a new question rises from the silence. What does Devin Haney fight for now? After proving the world wrong, surviving the storm, and reclaiming his crown? And who will be brave enough to stand in his way next? Behind the spotlight and championship belts lies a side of Haney few ever see. He keeps his personal life guarded, a sanctuary away from the prying eyes that track his every move. But even the strongest fighters fall in love. For Haney, that love came in the form of Lena Syed, a model and influencer who stepped quietly into his world, not as a headline, but as a presence. For months, their connection was whispered about. Instagram hints, rare sightings, speculation. Then, in 2023, far from the ring's roar and flashing cameras, Haney and Lena reportedly exchanged vows in Saudi Arabia, choosing to make their bond sacred and private. Love softened the fighters' edges. Together, they welcomed a child, though details remain scarce. Behind the scenes, he is no longer just a boxer. He's a father, learning to balance fame and family in a world that never stops watching. His silence on personal matters isn't secrecy, but protection. In the glare of the spotlight, relationships are fragile, and every choice is scrutinized. While the world watches him chase glory in the ring, he is quietly laying the foundation for a legacy that will outlast every fight. His ambition isn't confined to championships alone. Early on, he understood that true power comes from control over his career, his wealth, and his future. That's why he launched Devin Haney Promotions, his own boxing promotion company. It's more than a business. It's a bold declaration that Haney wants to shape his destiny, calling the shots rather than answering to others. But his vision stretches beyond the fight game. His eye for luxury is sharp, collecting high-end watches and jewelry worth over $1 million. Not just symbols of success, but smart investments that speak to his understanding of lasting value. Then there's real estate, where Haney has secured properties to anchor his financial portfolio, grounding his wealth in tangible assets. And endorsements? They flood in from brands like Puma, Everlast, and Monster Energy, each deal a testament to his rising star and market appeal. These partnerships aren't just checks, they're bricks in the empire he's building. Yet, amid all this growth, one question pulses beneath the surface. Can Devin Haney balance the relentless demands of boxing stardom with the calculated patience business requires? What does success look like when you've been fighting for it your entire life? For Devin Haney, it's not just about the belts. It's about building a life that feels like a reward. A life sculpted out of granite and glass, roaring engines, and sky-high views that stretch as far as his ambition. His mansion, tucked inside the gated sanctuary of McDonald Highlands in Las Vegas, is more than a home. It's a fortress of fulfillment. Designed by the elite architectural firm Blue Heron, the $6 million property sprawls across 8,000 square feet. With 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, every corner is curated, every inch intentional. But the luxury doesn't stop at the doorstep. The driveway plays host to a fleet of automotive artwork. His Lamborghini Urus, a custom white rocket with a bright yellow interior, isn't just a birthday gift from his father. It's a statement of legacy. The Chevrolet Corvette C8 Stingray, mid-engined and razor-sharp, devours the road with a low-slung snarl. The Rolls-Royce Cullinan, with its iconic Starlight headliner and cloud soft ride, glides like royalty in motion. Add the Mercedes-Maybach S580, a sedan built for emperors, and the Range Rover Autobiography, the ultimate blend of rugged power and refined class, and you have a garage that rivals any collector's dream. Each car customized, each one a reflection of the man who never takes the conventional road. But maybe the truest reflection of his evolution ticks from his wrist. He wears time like a champion, rare, intricate, and impossible to ignore. His Richard Mille RM11-03, with its skeletonized movement and futuristic design, is valued at over $400,000. His Patek Philippe Nautilus, sleek and understated, whispers wealth in a language only the elite understand. His iced-out Rolex Daytona, flooded with aftermarket diamonds, turns every flick of the wrist into a flex. And then there's the jewelry. Pendants as heavy as the moments he survived. The Dream chain glistens with VVS diamonds. A WBC medallion, iced in emerald-cut stones, glows like a permanent championship. Travel? Always first class, or rather, no class at all. Haney often flies aboard a Phenom 300 private jet, built by Embraer, sleek enough to cut through clouds and fast enough to make time wait. It's how he arrives for battles, and how he leaves them victorious. But beneath all the glitz, one question lingers. Can a man live like a legend and still fight like he's hungry? As the lights flash brighter and the world watches closer, we're left to wonder how much of this luxury fuels him, and how much of it might one day try to consume him. Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member and enjoy awesome benefits, like suggesting future video topics, getting early access to new content 48 hours before anyone else, and much more. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you the stories you love. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And while you're here, why not check out our deep dive into Teofimo Lopez's video? Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.